Hello. Hello, please. Yeah, what's the problem, sir? We just drove down our farm track. Yeah. Go and feed our pheasants. We come across a Range Rover with 3 people in it. Yeah. It appears that they're dead. I don't know what's happening. Blood in the motor all over them.
And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Now, before I start this video, it's important for me to mention that the author does not seek to discredit any previous accounts or versions of events leading up to the gruesome murders. He merely offers an interesting alternative scenario to be considered.
What the fuck was happening? He really didn't need this right now, not fucking now. Talk about bad luck. Grasses, he fucking hated them. Some scumbag who had been pulled in with a bit of gear and couldn't face the consequences had obviously then sold out Mickey. But who knew? He had to think. Christ, it could have come from anywhere. Tony wandered into the restaurant. He let her indoors order for him. He had to make a call. No, he didn't. He needs to think first. There's got to be a way round this. He had to think of number 1 first. Fuck Mickey. Bollocks. Needed this one home. It sorted everything. Well, not everything, but it was important. The phone call from the bastard in Canning Town flashed through his mind. He needed this home. He needed it home. He could put up the interest on the loan if he had to for 4 more months. But if the next parcel got lost, then he'd owe the Dutchman. And where would he get the 100 grand from? The bloody shit gear from Mickey and the Dutchman. How heavy was the Dutchman? He wasn't Canning Town. Tony was spoiling his night and just picked at his food. As his mind went through the endless scenarios, he was so close and yet so far. He needed this like a hole in the head. What next? He asked himself. The next morning, after an hour with Pat and Craig, they were still all over the place mentally. Pat wanted to kill Mickey, although even he was struggling to find a reason how it would solve the problem. It appeared all to be Mickey's fault in Pat's head. They called in a couple of the top boys on their firm to let them know they had a problem with the supply, and there had to be a grass on the firm somewhere. Paranoia was taking hold of the group. There was nothing for it. They needed to talk to Mickey. Pat called him on one of his disposable phones and said they'd pop over about 10 that night. It was late to go to a man's home, but Mickey didn't object. Why should he? The reason for the late visit was Craig's idea. If Mickey was under observation, then they would get some numbnut to drive them there. They'd all wear hats and glasses and slip into the house in the dark and not get recognised. It was a crap plan, but it would probably work. The day was a gloomy one in the firm's camp, and Pat got it into his head to go and find some little scumbag dealer who owed and was a couple of weeks late. They found the waste of space kid later in the afternoon. It wasn't going to be a good day for the kid, and Pat was looking to hurt anyone. For once, Tony and Craig were happy to let him run free. Pat just pushed too far. He was like the kid who pulled the legs off insects at school, then used a magnifying glass in the sun's rays to create an agonising slow death. Pointless, mindless, and achieves nothing good. They were all laughing. It was a sick and twisted, nervous, adrenaline and drug-fuelled surreal moment. They drove away from the lane in which they had carelessly slung the limp body. No one bothered to look back. All they had running through their minds was rage. How close they all were to lots of easy cash, and how it all hung in the balance. The kid had just been a distraction. The numbnut, who got volunteered to drive to Mickey's, picked them up in a client's car and was a local mechanic who did a bit of work for Tony. The last thing he needed was 2 hyped-up lunatics wearing stupid glasses and even more ridiculous-looking baseball caps in his motor that night. Craig wasn't needed, so he dropped out to the visit to Mickey's home. The driver kept his mouth shut and drove where he was told. He knew the unpredictability of Pat Tate and just wanted to get home in one piece. It was dark, and they didn't see any signs of the watchers at Mickey's house when they pulled into his drive. The pair, both looking about as inconspicuous as a pair of suckling pigs at a bar mitzvah, told the driver to wait in the car and got out. The dark sunglasses in the dark were ridiculous, and Tony had to lift them up to look for the step, so he didn't repeat what Pat had just done, trip and almost dive headfirst at the door. Mickey already had the door open as Pat raised his hand to knock on it. Mickey looked confused at the outfits. Both had donned dark shell suits and looked ridiculous. The report in some poor copper's notebook sitting out in the dark and cold was equally confusing as to the identity of the rappers. The pair followed Mickey into the kitchen, where he turned on the light and Tony quickly pulled down the blind. The disguises, boys. I assume that's what they are. Mickey was now laughing. He'd concluded they weren't here to do him any harm. It ain't fucking funny, Mickey. It's on you, mate. Old fucking Bill is all over you. We're fucked. Pat, what the fuck are you on about, mate? How can it be all over me? How can they be all over me? I ain't the one out here making all the noise. If it's on top, mate, it's on you. Who the fuck knows about my little operation? Only you guys. So if there's a problem, it's from your side. Sit down, Pat. Tony pulled himself out a kitchen chair and took a seat. Pat was wired from the day's events, and Tony didn't want him rolling around the floor with Mickey over escalating and pointless accusations. Tony had it from the horse's mouth what the problem was, and there was no point arguing over who was to blame. It was what it was. They needed a solution. Listen, Mickey, I have top Essex old Bill on my firm. The man came to see me last night. Suffolk old Bill and his mob at Essex are on you. As of Tuesday morning, maybe longer, but he doesn't think so. They know how you bring the little fellas in, and they're going to pull you on the next run. That you can take to the bank, mate. So we are fucked. Every fucking way. We can't hit the warehouse in Holland. We can't get no fucking gear home. We are royally screwed. Tony had overstated Porky's importance in the police force, but he never missed a chance to make himself sound stronger than he was at any opportunity. And how do they know this? About me, I mean. And how come it ain't on you? Mickey batted the problem straight back at Tony. Because it fucking ain't, mate. I run a tight ship and my guys are solid. Ain't no grasses got the bollocks to give me up. As Tony batted it back, Pat rolled his shoulders. Look, there ain't no fucking point sitting here arguing over whose fault it is. It's happened. We need to deal with it. Tony quickly pulled things back into the centre and took it all down a notch. He'd seen Pat go wonky once today, and that might still end up another fucking problem. Everyone paused for breath. Look, fellas, this ain't so bad. I can sort this. Yeah, now you going to do that? Pat growled. Look, listen. If it's up me, then it's up me. You sure Dutch old Bill ain't in this? 100%. Tony wasn't, but he sounded like he was, and he might even convince himself if there was a solution to be had here. OK, well then it's sweet. I'll go out Sunday. I'll take the tools with me. Don't be fucking daft, Pat butted in. No, look, don't you see? If they're up me, then they're going to make sure that no one stops me going out. I could sail out with a fucking crown jewels, mate. They want me to go. They're not exactly going to stop me until I come back. They want me all relaxed like I don't think anyone gives a fuck about me going out to sea. Mate, they'd come down and jump-start the bloody engine if I had a flat battery, don't you see? Mickey was laughing now he had an idea. He's right, you know, Pat. They ain't going to show their faces on the way out. They'll be putting their hands together when he leaves. Tony was now interested in what Mickey had to say. Look, we do the number over there Monday as planned. Then I load up and leave. That's got to be sweet. If Dutch old Bill had the slightest, and they'd be pulling me that side looking to nick the local outfit as well. No, the Dutch mob ain't got a clue. Our lot are after the glory for themselves, so they won't be marking the Dutch old Bill's card either. Yeah, that's all great, but you're nicked when you come home and we lose the fucking parcel. Nah, no chance. Look, I've got a mate with a fast rib. He'll meet me at sea and I'll offload the gear out there. I'll come home with a load of Dutch porn on board. They can go and wank themselves to death. What the fuck is a fast rib? Pat growled. A semi-inflatable rib, Pat. It's what the lifeboat men use for inshore rescue. The Marines use them for storming up the beach. Look, don't worry about what it is. It'll do the job, and I have just the man for it. I'll sort this, and then the dud gear fiasco is forgotten. It's all evens after this comes home. Tony thought about it. He needed this one home. All evens, Mickey.